Storage systems. Those fiends that take all of your crap and organize it for you. For over the last year, I've been designing a storage system for my single-player world. If you've seen World Update 10, then you know that since then I've restarted development, ripping everything up, taking everything I've learned thus far, and starting over on the design process. But with what sounds like a setback comes a great opportunity. An opportunity to document my journey of designing a storage system for my single-player world. And with that, welcome to Designing a Storage System, a World Update sub-series of sorts. Right behind me is the abandoned version 1 of this project. We probably won't really end up going over version 1 all that much, except for where I'll use it as an example to get a point across when designing version 2. Episodes of this series are generally going to each be focused on specific topics of the storage system design, with this first episode being focused on establishing the design goals of my storage system project. In order to get across the scope of this project, I have put together this diagram. It's lacking technical details and there are some things on here that are missing or just glossed over, but for the purposes of this video it will work just fine. Up here is the general item input. Items will go through a multi-stage item input system which prepares them for sorting. Non-stackable items will be sent to the non-stackable items sorter, and 16 stackables and 64 stackables will both be sent to their respective feeders, where the items will then be fed to the double speed item sorter concurrently, resulting in a small speed up. However, the actual reason for sending stackable 64 and stackable 16 items to the item sorter concurrently doesn't have to really do with throughput, but item grouping. You see, if we filter out all the stackable 64 items, then we can group them up into as large of a group as possible, and thus reduce on item entity lag. A planned 144 slices of the double speed item sorter will pack the most common items in the game into shulker boxes, and send those shulker boxes to the shulker box sorter, where they will then be routed into bulk storage. Any items that don't happen to be sorted by the double speed item sorter will then be routed to a multi-item sorter, which will basically handle the majority of the items in the game. And if for whatever reason an item doesn't get sorted by the multi-item sorter, say either it's overflowed or it hasn't been configured to sort that particular item, it will simply go over to the unsorted/overflow holding area. Like we will use shulker box loaders for that, to keep it nice and compact, the storage for that? Maybe? Don't know. Up here is an input to handle shulker boxes with a single item type. In other words, this is a second input. And how would this be useful? Well, say you got a creeper farm. You know, common enough. You pack all of those items into shulker boxes at the farm's location. Now, you want to get them into your bulk storage. You want them to be in the correct bulk storage slice. But if you were to send all of those shulker boxes through your normal item sorting, well, it would take an eternity to sort them. And in many cases, it's quite easy to have a farm that produces more items per hour than your item sorter can even sort. So instead, shulker boxes full of items from farms will bypass into the general item sorting and go straight over to the shulker box sorter, which can sort items a lot faster than the double speed item sorter. And of course, from the shulker box sorter, those items will be routed to the correct slice of bulk storage. So that's the abstract overview, but how about we go a little bit more into depth? There are 5 things I'm keeping in mind while designing my storage system. That being space, speed, reliability, interface, and lag. Space. Space doesn't only refer to the amount of physical space a storage system takes up, but also the space it resides in, what's around it. Right here, we're at a part of my test world where I have copied over my base area from my single player world. And right here I have a small scale model of what I might build for my new base tower design. I say might because the relationship between the base tower design and the storage system are tied very, very closely together. The storage system influences the design of the base. The design of the base also in turn influences the storage system. This, as you might expect, makes it very difficult to actually get anything done when it comes down to deciding how I want my base tower to look. Because not only do I want it to, of course, look good, I want it to also function well and be a great place for my storage system to reside in. The only thing I've completely decided upon for the space my storage system is going to reside in is that I want it to be a good distance off the ground above sea level. Everything else, well, it's still kind of in flux. Speed. To sort my most common items at 18,000 items per hour, I'm going to be using my double speed item sorter. And this one right here, you can see I've made a bit of a modification that adds a bit of extra length on the end, but in turn saves 1 hopper per slice. And speaking of modifications, another YouTuber out there by the name of Badamson, I'm sorry, I'm probably horribly mispronouncing your name, came up with a modification for the redstone involving the Shulker reloading sequence that gets rid of a lot of this bulk up here. So all we did was place an observer here, so replacing the trapdoor, having a gravity block up here, and a sticky piston down here. And yeah, it works really great. I mean, what's the downside? Rather than 2 items end up getting stuck in the bottom dropper every time a shulker gets replaced, 3 items will get stuck down there. Not really all that big of a problem, considering the activation of an adjacent slice will easily clear that bottom dropper. So yeah, I'll probably be going for this right here. To quickly sort all my shulker boxes of items from my farms, I'll likely be using this modification of SamosTheSage's shulker box sorter. This one actually runs kind of slow. It runs on a 32 tick clock, which is equivalent to 37.5 shulker boxes per minute. But if you assume each shulker box is filled with stackable 64 items, which most of them really will be, then that effectively works out to over 64,000 items sorted per minute, or over 3.8 million items per hour. Needless to say, I think something like this will be fine. Reliability. Anytime you have to spend fixing your storage system, it ain't doing its job. A storage system should take the hassle out of managing your digital wealth, not add to it. And when it comes down to my priorities for designing my storage system, reliability is right there up at the top. Right along here, you may see we got these sacks of shulker sorters. The idea is that the shulker sorter is completely contained within inside a single chunk. That way it can't break by having a part of it that's in a loaded chunk go into an unloaded chunk. Basically working under the idea of you can't have critical redstone across chunk borders break if you don't ever have any critical redstone cross chunk borders. Shulker boxes from the shulker sorter will be routed to bulk storage via water stream, so they'll be dispensed into cobweb, which will cancel the momentum and allow me to get some space savings for how I route into the items, and they'll just fall like a water stream right into the proper bulk storage slice that they're supposed to go to. And guys, I hear you. I can hear it now. People are telling me, Duke, just use portal chunk loaders. And yes, portal chunk loaders would solve the issue, sort of. You see, the problem is I'm playing single player, meaning when I save and quit, the entire game unloads. Okay, that's expected. But when I boot back up my world, any chunks that were previously loaded into by portal chunk loaders won't load up with the initialization of the world. And so the only time they're going to reload is when I, the player, happen to enter the area into that those chunk loaders were in. And so, in order to ensure maximum reliability, I am going to be designing my sword system in such a way that it isn't dependent upon portal chunk loaders. I will be utilizing them, basically just to, ensure like, oh, I drop off a bunch of items at my base from a project, and then I head back out. Basically just give me a way of keeping the sorter running when I'm away from base, but I'm never going to use portal chunk loaders as a way to basically deal with reliability issues. I'm going to deal with that by making sure I don't have any critical redstone cross chunk borders. That's the core idea behind everything that I'll be designing for my sword system. Interface. How does a player interface with an item sorter? Well, obviously they'll have like a chest or whatever to drop items into and have them automatically be sorted. But when they need items, well, what's their objective? Get the stuff they need as quickly as possible. So 1, it needs to be easy to find, and 2, it needs to be close by. You could easily have a storage system with chest halls over 100 blocks long each. But that isn't really all that great from a player perspective, having to spend time walking or flying with their elytra down the chest hole to find the item they need, grab it, and then run off to the opposite side before remembering, oh yeah, I needed that other item all the way back where I was just at. So for my sword system project, I want my chest hole to be as short as possible. For one, so that way the base tower design doesn't completely balloon in size, even though it already has been. But for number 2, because a shorter chest hall with a higher density of a variety of blocks is just overall a better interface for a player. It's great when all you have to do is just take a few steps to get that other item that you happen to need, rather than dozens upon dozens of steps. This storage hall right here is simply a mock-up. Something to let me get a feel for what I might be going for with my sword system. Like, how do I feel about having 7 chests per slice of the multi-item sorter? This design in particular is from SamosTheSage. I've slightly modified it so I could get the 7th chest. And I'm seriously debating if I want to go for 8 chests because, hey, they're all easily within reach of the player, even when I'm in survival mode. And when it comes to interfacing with bulk, well, at least in this mock-up, it's perhaps not ideal. These shulker boxes don't have any form of automatic replacement, so when I empty them, I would have to mine them with my pickaxe and then press the button to dispense a new one. However, I have been working on a system to replace these shulker boxes upon a button press. Initially, I was testing with a system and such that would replace the shulker box whenever I pull the last item out, but of course, that can be annoying, and like in this case, where you grab the last item and then it goes to try and replace the shulker box, and meaning you drop the item there and such. And also, this takes up quite a lot of room. So maybe not really ideal. So then I got to thinking, what if I ditch detection and I just make it via a button press? And this is what I came up with right here. It's basically the same profile in terms of space as my current bulk storage over there. Only now I can replace shulker boxes at a press of a button. So there I can replace the top, there I can replace the bottom, and occasionally shulker boxes do kind of get in a weird position where, they'll get on top of another shulker box or on top of here or whatever, but it really isn't all that frequent. Now, this system does have a bit of a design flaw. The top slice here, if it doesn't already happen to be a shulker box there, and you press the button, it dispenses a shulker box, immediately breaks it, and then places another one. So that could be kind of annoying. You could end up having a shulker box full of items, end up, you know, getting broken and going back to the item sorter to get processed over again. So not really that great, but in most cases, I mean, I shouldn't run out of shulker boxes in a particular bulk sword slice. So yeah, I'm really liking this. I really think it'll work out well. Lag, or performance if you prefer the more correct term, is the great limiter in this game. Have a super powerful mob farm? Well, if the server's struggling, it doesn't really matter how powerful it is. And when it comes down to my item sorter, I obviously want to make sure that it eats up as little of the game's performance as possible. In here, I got 144 slices, or actually 36 slices that equal out to 144 different item types of my bulk storage. And the majority of the hoppers in my bulk storage will be kept locked when not needed with redstone. But is it actually worth to do it? Yes. Yes, it is. When the hoppers are unlocked around here versus when they are locked, I am seeing a 1.2 MSPT difference during a tick warp on my particular computer. Meaning it is definitely worth it to lock my hoppers when they're not needed. And when it comes down to the overall hopper count for my storage system, my current estimates place it at about 3.2 thousand to 3.4 thousand hoppers, with the majority of those being locked when they're not needed. Anyways, everyone, I had more I wanted to talk about in this video, but unfortunately we're out of time. I'm gonna try to get future episodes of this series out a bit more frequently than World Update episodes, so hopefully you'll stay tuned for that. So until next time, everyone, whenever that might be, I'll see y'all later. Bye.